So, is it self-indulgent to seek our own healing and integration? This is something that I keep coming across, right? In my work, in my accompaniment of others. I often hear, people share that their friends or community members who caution them about the amount of focus that they're spending on their interior journey, okay? Or, how concerned they are about becoming healed, right? And I'm not talking here about physical healing, but, interior healing, about becoming more integrated, about addressing the wounds that they have. And so sometimes those of us who seek this, seek wholeness and seek healing, we find that to do that interior work, we do need at certain times to withdraw more from active service, right? Active service of others, to tend to ourselves, because our time is finite, our energy is finite, our resources are finite. So the question then is that okay? Is it being self-centered or egotistical? Because I know that there are some of you who have been accused of maybe being a bit too self-indulgent because you are pursuing this work of interior integration. Okay, so first off, I want to start by saying, as disciples of Christ, well, first we look at Jesus, right? We look at the Christ. And when he announced kind of his public ministry after his baptism in the Jordan and going to the desert for 40 days and being tested himself, when he proclaimed from the synagogue, from the scrolls of Isaiah 61, he described, he kind of quoted Isaiah to point to himself being the Messiah that was prophesied, right? And what did he say? The words of Isaiah says that this is the one, Jesus came, he's the one who has come to set the captives free, right? To let the blind see and let the lame walk, run even, and to proclaim a year of jubilee, to set the captives free. Jesus' entire ministry is about setting us free and healing people, right? I mean, he did physical healings, but even more fundamental than that, he was setting our souls free. He wanted to heal our soul. And when we talk about the desire that we have, or the pursuit that some of us may find ourselves on, to seek the healer, which is Jesus, right? To heal us, it is not being self-indulgent. It is being, one is being aware that we need the divine healer, right? There's nothing wrong with seeking healing. Of course, healing is ultimately not just for ourselves, right? When Jesus healed the people that came to him, he often told them subsequently to come follow me, right? So our healing, our integration, our growth in authenticity and wholeness is to help us become more whole and more effective followers of Christ, right? We become more alive, but actually more importantly, we become better witnesses and also better instruments for God's kingdom. If, let's say, you have, you broke your arm, okay, or you broke your leg, and you're hobbling along. I mean, you can't walk as usual, and you are told, don't focus so much on healing your leg. You have a race to run, right? I mean, how are you supposed to run that race with a broken leg? Don't you need to heal that leg first? And even after, let's say, the bone heals, don't you need maybe physiotherapy and strengthening, to get back into the condition where you can run and run well? Healing is never an end in and of itself. It is part of a process for a greater end. And that is the context in which we must situate our own journey of healing and integration, right? It's not self-indulgent. I want to say it is not self-indulgent if we see it in that light. Now, sometimes we can get very caught up with our pain, and we can get very caught up with wanting to stop that pain. And so our quest for healing, seem to block out everything else, and we can't be there and available for others. Objectively speaking, if someone were to look on the outside and say, this behavior they're exhibiting is rather egocentric, is kind of self-centered, right? And I will say, actually, they wouldn't be wrong. It's a description, right? They're looking at what's happening, and right now, at this particular time, if you are dealing with your pain, when we are dealing with our pain, we don't have the capacity, and we're very little capacity sometimes to handle as much of holding the pain of others or serving others, because when we're dealing with our own injuries and our own pain, the priority is to let ourselves get better. So if people say, this person is being very self-indulgent right now, I would say it may hurt. And even though I want you to know that on the larger scheme, from the larger perspective, this is not being self-indulgent. In the moment, that particular snapshot of your life right now, where you are prioritizing your healing and your integration, it may look like it's self-indulgence. It may look like it's self-centeredness, because what's happening is that you're choosing to let yourself be loved more as a priority in this season. And people who do not have this experience themselves, people who can only have learned the categories of, other-centered versus self-centered, right? And they do not have the understanding and maybe the experience that really, to be truly other-centered, I need to know how to love myself. And if I am not whole, and there are areas that are really handicapping my ability to show up in a way that's truly other-centered and loving, then I need to prioritize myself first. Okay, so a lot of people who haven't made that part of the journey, they wouldn't understand that. So if you're hearing from people around you that you're being self-centered and that you're being self-indulgent, I just hope that this video will encourage you and help you to understand that you are on this journey for a greater purpose. There is nothing wrong with prioritizing yourself when you need that. And on the other hand, I hope that it can help you to understand also why other people may say that. And if you're able to, just shake it off. They don't get it, maybe. But you know what? There may be other people who will get it. Seek those people out. In these seasons of healing and integration, we need the accompaniment of people who get it. So may you find other companions and pilgrims that can support you in the journey, because you need that too.